The stories you are about to see are real. The rewards up to $5 million are real. This is Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous, the criminals don't.
Columbia County Sheriff's deputies are looking for this white male phone thief who took a woman's cell phone that was sitting on top of an ATM machine at the Evans Walmart on April 29th. The victim is a customer service manager for Walmart who had laid her $250 Samsung Galaxy phone there before it was taken. Deputies report she was able to obtain these surveillance images of the suspect and pass them on to law enforcement. Just to let you know, Georgia state law makes it a crime to take a phone that isn't yours. The right thing to do is to either leave it where it is or turn it over to store management. If you know who or where this younger white male may be, please call Captain Steve Morris of the Columbia County Sheriff's Office at 706-541-2800. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your cell phone. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office is requesting the public's assistance with locating this 40-ish black male suspect who committed a theft on February 7th at 14:34 hours from the Buy Low Supermarket at 2803 Wrightsboro Road in Augusta, and possibly may have stolen from other locations as well. Anyone with information leading to the identity of this stocky, built, with a mustache and goatee suspect is asked to please notify the Richmond County Sheriff's Office at 706-821-1080, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and stop shoplifters. The Richmond County Sheriff's deputies are looking for 3 young black male robbers who robbed a pizza delivery man on Carrington Drive Saturday night. The victim says he was delivering for Pizza Hut around midnight when the 3 young black males came up and robbed him. Deputies say one of the young black males held a golf club to the pizza delivery guy's head and demanded he empty his pockets. A second pushed him to the ground, and a third pulled out a gun. Sergeant Michael McDaniel says when he exited his vehicle, he was approached by the 3 black males. They appeared to be 18 to 25 years of age. Crime Reports was also told that one of the young black males took out a handgun and pistol whipped the victim in the head. Neighbors say they want the 3 who did this to pay. "It makes me scared for my life," one of the neighbors said. "I'm just wondering who would do such a thing." The victim says she didn't get a good look at all the young black males, but said one was wearing a fishing hat and all black clothing. If you know who or where these 3 armed and dangerous young black males may be, please call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office at 706-821-1080, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and unpistol whipped. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office sent Crime Stoppers this picture of what they say is a black female. Well, Crime Stoppers looked it over carefully, and we may be wrong, but we think this suspect is a black male who dressed up as a black female, then used someone else's check and cashed it fraudulently at the SRP Bank in Evans last month for $525. They've got pretty good images of the suspect, but with this disguise, they're looking for a female, not a male. Another way criminals are disguising themselves is with dreadlock wigs. Currently, Crime Stoppers is looking for what may be a gang member out of DeKalb County whose gray BMW 7 Series was seen in the area of some local shootings. Although the driver of the suspect car was wearing dreads, The way they wore their dreads and kept reaching to adjust the dreads suggested the suspect may in fact be bald or have very little hair and is using dreadlocks to change their appearance to throw people off. Another way a lot of bad guys are disguising themselves is to weave hair extensions into their hair. That way, if a robber had short hair one day, they can hide under dreadlocks the next day. Criminals' favorite and most used disguises are masks or dressing up in women's clothing, is what may be seen here. If you know who or where this black male or black female may be, please call Captain Steve Morris at the Columbia County Sheriff's Office, Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, or email or text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your money. Richmond County Sheriff's deputies are asking for your help finding a white male who is described as 45 to 50 years old with glasses and is slightly balding. Deputies were called to St. Mary's on the Hill Catholic Church on Montecito Avenue about 1 p.m. Monday, where they learned a man had emptied money from the boxes at least twice since May 9th. A representative of the church told police that the man kicked the boxes mounted on brick columns in the lobby to gain access to the cash and then ran off with the cash. The boxes, which are labeled Poor Box and Catholic Social Service, allow members to donate money to the causes. Catholic Social Services is one of the last resorts people have to avoid being homeless. If you know where police may find this church money thief, please call Sheriff Richard Roundtree's office at 706-821-1080. Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS. Or email and text your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep from being homeless. Hey, look, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office is looking for Little Nicky. No, actually, they're looking for this dark male who may be of Middle Eastern or Spanish descent who stole collection money from the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church in Augusta. The Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church in Augusta reports a dark male who may be of Middle Eastern or Spanish descent is seen on surveillance images entering the church, which is located at 953 Telfair Street around 12:30 p.m. on Sunday, August 25th, and removing the collection money. If you think you know where this dark male with a beer gut may be found, please call investigator Terry Gore or any other investigator at 706-821-1080 or call 1-800-222-TIPS or email your tip to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you can remain anonymous and you tell Crime Stoppers how and where you want to be paid.
I'm Dave Michaels with this Crime Reports and Rewards special report. A new gun law takes effect on July 1st in Georgia called the Guns Everywhere Law. This new law is a gun grabber's nightmare.
We as Georgians believe in the right of the people to defend themselves, and therefore we believe in the Second Amendment. Throughout my career as a legislator, I have voted for, and as governor, I have signed legislation that protects the rights to keep and bear arms. It is a right that is ingrained in the very fabric of our nation. Yet, the inheritance of a right does not preclude the need for vigilance by succeeding generations. Thomas Jefferson told the world in the Declaration of Independence that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. He believed in the right to bear arms. He said, and I quote, "The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms as a last resort is to protect themselves against the tyranny in government." But Jefferson also said this, that each generation of Americans must make its own way, saying that, and I quote, "One generation has no more right to bind another to its laws and judgments then one independent nation has the right to command another. So today, our generation reiterates the desire for this fundamental right for our own reasons. While we still guard against tyranny, America today cherishes this right so that people who follow the rules can protect themselves and their families from those who don't follow the rules. The General Assembly during this past legislative session passed this piece of bipartisan legislation by large margins that extends the protections for Georgians who have gone through a background check to legally obtain a Georgia weapons carry license. House Bill 60 will protect law-abiding citizens by expanding the number of places that they can carry their guns without penalty. At the same time, this bill respects the rights of private property owners who still set the rules for their lands and their buildings. The various parts of House Bill 60 do much to expand the rights of gun owners who are licensed to carry, but it also expands the rights of those who serve our nation in uniform.
In the state of Georgia, you can now conceal carry pretty much anywhere. This is the governor of Georgia signing the Guns Everywhere bill into law. And this is House Bill 60, the Safe Carry Protection Act, but also dubbed the Guns Everywhere bill by some, allows concealed carry permit holders to carry firearms into bars, schools, churches, and certain government buildings under certain circumstances. Now, I definitely don't think that guns and alcohol mix, but if you can handle your firearm appropriately, also same thing, if you go to school, you obviously don't want to cause any type of panic, but also if you have the proper concealment and you're not putting anybody in a state of alarm, not carrying in a measure calculated to cause alarm, hey, you know, it's a free country, or at least it's supposed to be. And also, you can go into government buildings. As you can go into the government building here in the state of Texas, you can go into the state capitol, but if you step onto the Texas Capitol grounds with your firearm exposed, Texas DPS will pretty much drag you to the ground and illegally arrest you. I've seen them do that 3-4 times personally. That's just the things that I've personally witnessed. But Georgia, they're going in the right direction. They're not like the state of New York, where they're saying that if your gun has certain cosmetic features, you cannot have it, or in the state of California where they're trying to ban firearms. They have ATF rating, people like Aries Armor. It's just gun grabbing going on all around. But definitely appreciate you guys in Georgia sticking up for your Second Amendment rights. And they say, well, that means people are going to carry all the time. There are plenty of people who don't carry their guns. There are possible many potential gun owners, people who actually have guns currently, and they leave their guns at home, they leave their guns in the car, so it doesn't mean everybody in the state is going to be carrying. There's many irrational fears, many anti-gun groups springing up to fight these type of measures. But yeah, Armed Society is a polite society. I've been to many gun shows, I've been to many gun stores. Nobody ever got shot, nobody ever got hurt, and you bump into somebody and say, excuse me, sir, excuse me, miss, you go on about your business and everybody is okay.
People can legally take guns into some schools, some churches, some bars, and even parts of the airport.
The ceremonial signing of one of the most controversial bills of this year's legislative session.
Today, I will put into law a gun bill that heralds self-defense, personal liberties, and public safety.
Licensed gun rights owners from across Georgia came to witness the move that will expand their rights to legally carry their weapons into bars, unsecured government buildings, and churches that give the okay.
I just don't think that's a good idea at all. This would be a perfect opportunity for someone who wants to take revenge out on a group of people.
Supporters say it lets you protect yourself and your family.
It will allow me to take control of the situation.
Yes, it is a community where we cling to religion and guns.
I think the gun bill is very important because it does extend the rights while respecting the rights of private property owners.
This law makes Georgia safer, and it's certainly not going to make it any less safe.
In the town of Kennesaw, where guns are mandatory, they've only had 6 shootings in 30 years. All 6 shootings took place in a gun-free zone. Many gun grabbers will use the most recent shooting at a FedEx warehouse as a reason to not implement this new law. But the FedEx warehouse is a gun-free zone.
Gunman kills himself after mass shooting at FedEx facility. A FedEx loader allegedly opened fire early on Tuesday at a sorting and distribution warehouse near Atlanta, injuring 6 people. The shooting took place at a FedEx station on Airport Road in Kennesaw, Georgia. One of the witnesses, Lisa Aiken, said the shooter was a 19-year-old package handler who was armed with an assault rifle and had an ammunition belt strapped across his chest. He dropped a knife he was wielding before firing shots. The gunman was later found with a fatal self-inflicted gunshot wound in the loading bay. Aside from the shooter, no deaths have been reported. 6 others, however, were injured. More than 100 officers from multiple government agencies were dispatched to the scene of the shooting.
Here's Colin Nora with a report on gun-free zones.
Watching a pickup basketball game can tell you a lot about a mass shooter's mentality. During a pickup basketball game, where there are multiple courts, there's always a good side and a bad side. If you watch the bad side, you always notice that one person who's obviously too good for that side and should be playing on the good side, where the people are more talented, but doesn't because he doesn't want the challenge. He just wants the glory of winning games. It's the classic big fish in a small pond syndrome, where the individual wants all of the reward and none of the challenge. A lot of people suffer from this in many categories of their life. The college guy who only dates high school girls, the gamer that only uses cheat codes, the decently attractive girl who only hangs out with ugly girls to make herself more attractive. And on a more gruesome level, mass shooters. Mass shooters are pathetically non-confrontational. They pick their targets like sexual predators pick their victims, weak and defenseless. A gun-free zone to a mass shooter is like an online preteen chat room to a sexual predator, except when a mass shooter shows up to a target's location, he isn't worried about running into Chris Hansen concealed carrying an HKP-30 and a camera crew. Gun-free zones are mass shooters' utopia, fields of victims to choose from without any immediate repercussions. It's quite literally the equivalent of a Grand Theft Auto 5 invincibility cheat code, where your character is allowed to create as much carnage as possible in 5 minutes before his time is up and the cops show up to kill him. Gun-free zones are the world's greatest placebo effect. When people hear gun-free zones, images of laser force fields and robot sentinels with laser cannons and futuristic magnetic contraptions that can detect a gun from a mile away comes to mind. But in reality, gun-free zones are a sign in a glass window with words on it. If burglar alarms and beware of dog signs don't stop criminals from breaking into houses, what makes you think a person who wakes up in the morning knowing he wants to kill as many people as possible is going to change his mind because of a sign in a window? He's about to commit mass murder. Breaking a gun-free zone law is but a wooden board on the house of carnage he's about to build. When this person starts shooting, we call good men to make it stop. But we don't call them only because they're good men. We call them because they have guns. Think about how ridiculous it would be for a citizen standing outside a gun-free zone building during a mass shooting who wants to help to take his gun off before entering the building to try to stop the shooting. Saying we should get rid of gun-free zones sounds almost blasphemous to a group of people who play by the rules and obey laws. But we have to remember that we're dealing with monsters who laugh at laws and take advantage of good people. But that's harder to do when those good people are armed.
For Crime Reports and Rewards, I'm Dave Michaels. Somebody picked the wrong girl. I'm Dave Michaels with this week's edition of Spot Crime, where we highlight crimes reported in the CSRA. We've had 53 assaults around the CSRA. They took place on the 1700 block of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, the 1300 block of Cherry Avenue, the 2300 block of DeVries Street, the 1800 block of Cooney Circle, the 3900 block of Deborah Street, Old Waynesboro Road, Pleasant Home Road at Treburton Trail, 2400 block of Yates Drive, the 2400 block of Peach Orchard Road, the 2400 block of Jumper Drive, the 2600 block of Barclay Street, the 2400 block of Amsterdam Drive, the 700 block of Broad Street, the 2300 block of Heritage Court, Fox Trace Drive, the 2400 block of Southgate Drive, the 2700 block of Margaret Court, the 2100 block of Lumpkin Road, the 600 block of Bransford Road, the 2000 block of First Avenue, the 2100 block of Silverdale Road, Milledgeville Road, the 2300 block of Amsterdam Drive, the 3200 block of Wrightsboro Road, the 100 block of Skinner Road, the 1100 block of Azalea Drive, the 3100 block of River Oak Road, the 2700 block of Smith Drive, the 500 block of Broad Street, the 2100 block of Helpsome McBeam Road, the 400 block of East Boundary Street, the 600 block of Sea Owl Drive, the 3400 block of Wrightsboro Road, the 3100 block of Washington Road, the 2100 block of Bayville Road, the 3700 block of Vera Drive, the 1300 block of Beeman Street, the 3500 block of Camac Drive, the 200 block of East Telfair Street, the 1600 block of McCalkey Street, the 1600 block of the Gordon Highway, the 2500 block of Peach Orchard Road, the 3500 block of Windsor Springs Road, the 2800 block of Deansbridge Road, the 900 block of Molly Pond Road, Bath Peterson Road, the 2900 block of Wellington Street, the 1600 block of McCalkey Street, the 2100 block of 2nd Avenue, the 500 block of Logan's Way, the 3100 block of Peach Orchard Road, the 1500 block of Wooten Road, and the 3500 block of Windsor Springs Road. 30 burglaries around the CSRA. They took place on the 1500 block of McCalkey Street, the 3700 block of Beacon Hill Drive, the 2300 block of Tobacco Road, the 4200 block of James Street, the 2300 block of Allen Avenue, the 2200 block of Rozier Road, the 3500 block of Edgeworth Drive, the 100 block of Milledgeville Road, the 1100 block of Huntington Drive, the 1700 block of Hicks Street, the 1500 block of Bertrand Court, the 2800 block of Ingleside Drive, the 2500 block of Redoubt Circle, the 2900 block of Glen Hills Drive, the 5000 block of Old Waynesboro Road, the 2400 block of Windsor Springs Road, the 2700 block of Ingleside Drive, the 2100 block of Helpsome McBeam Road, the 400 block of Sandbar Ferry Road, the 3900 block of Deborah Street, the 2000 block of Nanmart Court, the 100 block of Watkins Street, the 2500 block of Hanover Street, the 2800 block of Beacon Drive, the 1900 block of Powell Road, the 2900 block of Willis Foreman Road, the 3100 block of Melba Drive, the 1700 block of Rush Drive, the 2900 block of DeHalla Drive, and the 3500 block of Windsor Springs Road. 7 robberies around the CSRA. They took place on the 1200 block of Ellis Street, the 100 block of Poor Street, the 1800 block of Watkins Street, the 3300 block of Wrightsboro Road, the 1700 block of Starnes Street, the 2400 block of Dublin Drive, and Meadowbrook Drive, 2 charged of damage to property on the 2500 block of Cross Creek Road and the 2400 block of Amsterdam Drive, 2 charged of reckless conduct on the 2500 block of Andorra Drive and the 1700 block of Sibley Road. If you know anything about these crimes or any other crimes, call our toll-free tip line at 1-800-222-TIPS or email your tip to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you may remain anonymous and may get a cash reward. And now, this Crime Reports and Rewards special report.
Due to the recent shooting at Payne College supposedly being caused by counterfeit money moving into a drug turf, let's take a look at how to spot counterfeit money. First, before we get into the nitty-gritty, it's important to remember to look at your money. If you see anything suspicious, then move on to the next steps. Compare your money with other bills. Observe the portrait. Observe the seals. Examine the border. Make sure the serial numbers are not matching on 2 separate bills. And finally, feel the paper, especially the printing will be raised printing that cannot be reproduced. If you see any of these counterfeit bills, which there are millions and millions and millions of them flooding in, please call Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS or text or email your tips to tips@AugustaCrimeStoppers.org, where you remain anonymous and keep your money.
You've been watching Crime Reports and Rewards with Griff Griffin and Dave Michaels, where you stay anonymous. The criminals don't. If you have any information on these or any other crimes, call our national tip line at 1-800-222-TIPS, where you'll stay anonymous and could get a cash reward. You can see this or any other episode of Crime Reports and Rewards on the web anytime at crimereportsandrewards.com. Crime Reports and Rewards is a production of Michaels Media.